Hey everyone, it's Emily Fox. Today's video is going to be my summer TBR, aka the books that I'm hoping to read in the upcoming months, with more specifically the ones that I want to try and start in the month of June. But every summer I like to kind of give you an overview of what I'm thinking of doing the upcoming months because I want to know what else I can be reading. I always like to get your suggestions, but first off, challenges. I failed to do one last month for my reading my TBR. It will happen during the summer. I will be picking basically books in here that are on my shelf unread and having to read them or unhaul them, which is always very nerve-wracking, but I'm excited to go back to my normal schedule with that. And I will be doing, probably in the month of July though, my normal reading my pile of shame challenge, which for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically the books that I started sometimes months or years ago and never finished. And usually it's not because I wasn't liking them, hence the pile of shame. It's just that I kind of forgot and moved on. Sometimes you're just too excited and you start too many books. So that will be happening this summer for sure. So for Patreon, we have two books. The first one is our classic for the month of May and June. So I have to read it before the end of the month of June. And it is Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte, who I think so far is my favorite Bronte sister. We read actually The Tenant of Wellfell Hall last year. Absolutely loved it. If you're looking for a really good classic, kind of feminist, I would highly recommend it. So I wanted to try something else by her, and this is by far going to be our shortest classic of the year. So, you know, an easy one before actually the next one is going to be Anna Karenina. So we're going to struggle with that one. So might as well go with this smaller ones just before. So I'm really excited for that one because again, I want to see if she's actually my favorite sister or if it was just one. I want to read more by them. So that's definitely on my TBR. And the next one we just voted, and actually pretty overwhelmingly, that's probably the most clear winner we've had in a while. We want to read a sci-fi kind of horror one, which super excited. I've been in the mood to start reading sci-fi again, which finally going back to fantasy and sci-fi. It's been weird couple of months really. The Apollo Murders, which is written by an astronaut. Someone in space is there with a team and there are murders trying to figure out who did it. I love the idea of like solving a murder where it has to be someone in a room. I need more. I really need more of those. But yes, a few of you actually already read this and told me this was great once you read past the first couple pages. So we're going to hope for the best, and I want to see if an astronaut can be a good author. I mean, at least it's going to be accurate. I'm being attacked right now. So yeah, I'm actually really excited to go back to like hard sci-fi. I haven't read a lot of those. I'll probably pick up more during the summer, but right now I can't decide what to read. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll pick some from the giant bag of unread books. So that's on my list. The only other one that I really want to read is a post-apocalyptic one. This is Good Morning Midnight. This has been on my shelf for way too long, but I've been really lucky with post-apocalyptic books in the last couple of months. Last year I read so many really fantastic ones, and they were pretty much all written by women. So this is one of the only other ones on my shelf that has been written by women. So I will absolutely be reading this. I know it's adult sci-fi, like I said, and I believe you're following someone in the Arctic Circle. So that seems like it's going to be a more chill one, which I don't care for the ones that are like military. So that sounds like it should work for me, and it's not too long. So win-win. Stop attacking me. Chunky is being a little devil right now. The two of the ones are sleeping on the other chair, which is making me nervous because a lot of claws, but is being the worst. Another big challenge for me that I set for myself this year, like I did last year, was to finish series. And I did okay last year, and I'm hoping to not do the same mistake this year. We're going to do a catch-up video at the end of June to see how I'm doing, you know, with all my challenges. So we're hoping that this big pile can be read in the upcoming months to help me. The first one is the what is it called? Seed to Harvest series by Octavia E. Butler. By far one of my favorite author. Definitely want to read everything she has ever written. And this is the weirdest she has ever written, for sure. All of her books are adult sci-fi, and they're like different subgenres, which is really cool. But this one is by far the weirdest one. People with superpowers. It's a little bit of a stretch, but yeah, there's a lot of incest for some reason. But you know, I don't want to tell you anything. The books are about 200 pages each, and I've read two of them. This is an anthology. There are 4 in here. I read the first 2, which apparently are the most weird ones, and apparently gets better. There's also a short story, I think Survivor, that is linked to this series that the author basically said she didn't want people to read. So I don't know if I should be reading that or not, but I will be hopefully finishing this series this summer because, like I said, the weirdest seems to be done at this point, so hoping for the best. Next, I go back to a little bit of romance contemporary during the summer. I usually don't read a ton of them, but during the summer, I love reading them. They're good like beach read. Not that I go to the beach that much, but like, you know, the vibes, okay? You go outside, you're reading a book, and I really want to finish the series. I read My Brilliant Friend last summer and really enjoyed this. I don't know how you would categorize this. It's like literally fiction, maybe historical fiction. It's set in Italy, and the first book was about this friendship between these two women. I think the whole series is about that. One of them, it starts by her writing like a message to her friend about their whole life, and you're going through their whole life with this series. And book one, you're following them as children. They have a really complex love-hate kind of relationship, and I'm really, really curious to see how it's going to continue because the way it ends, I don't want to spoil anything, but it ends on a really shocking, but not that surprising twist, and I need to continue. So I will be reading the next 3 books this summer. Why am I only holding 2? There are 3. They're kind of chunky, but I'm hopeful. The first one was a somewhat fast read, and I've heard so many great things, so hopefully another series. The next one is Shameful. I do want to go back to fantasy also. I have a couple series that it would be nice to continue / finish for the challenge, but also just in general, because again, for last year, I have not been reading a lot of fantasy. Until recently, I started reading wholesome ones, and it's been helping me go back to it. But this is shameful. This is very shameful. This is actually part of my pile of shame. I read the first like 10 chapters of it. So I'm going to start from 0 and read this whole thing because I read it very early this year. Is it at the end of last year? It's been a while. But The Lost Meadow by Brandon Sanderson. This is the last book in the second Mistborn series, and I need to know it ends. And I usually like Brandon Sanderson adult books, so it should happen. The next 2 are series that I need to continue and hopefully finish. The first one, this is the Green Bone Saga, I think. Yep, it is. Book 2 being Jade War. Technically, it's part of my pile of shame too, because I had tried it as an audiobook and could not follow too many characters. I already struggle to remember anyone's name in a book, so I need to see them visually, especially since I had read the first book, physical copy. So now it needs to happen. The whole trilogy is done, so I have book 2. It is chunky, but this took me a lot by surprise, actually. The first book, it's kind of a mix of, like, I think people said like Godfather, like it's like 2 gangs in a city trying to gain control. The magic system was really interesting. I really loved it. And I ended up being a lot more invested in the characters than I expected. I loved them, and the twists were really interesting. So I'm really like, why do I do that? Did you do the same thing? Like, I'm enjoying it. Why am I not continuing? So this summer, definitely reading book 2 and hoping to finish the whole trilogy this year. That would be great. But yes, that's a chunky one to read. But for some reason, during the summer, chunky books don't make me as afraid. The other fantasy book that I'm hoping to continue is The Fires of Vengeance, which I really enjoyed the first one, which was The Eyes of the Dragon. I really loved it. I feel like not everyone liked it, but I loved that it's like an epic revenge story. Main character is kind of reluctant, but it works. I feel like sometimes it can be a pet peeve, but this time it works. And a lot of like training, trying to get better. And again, that worked for me. Didn't care for the romance, but I love the magic system, and you barely get into it. Like, you don't understand how it works basically in book 1, but it sounds really, really cool. I want to know more, and I have book 2, so like I should. And I believe this is going to be a quartlet, but I think only book 2 and 3 are out. I'll put it on the screen. I'm not sure, but I have book 2, so it needs to happen. Seriously, what is wrong with you? What did you do this morning? Why do you have so much energy? Good thing he's cute. Oh, I do have one more wholesome fantasy that I own a physical copy of. The House Witch, which this one is it a cook? Someone that works for the king and queen, and there's apparently like political intrigue and a lot of like day-to-day life, which I've been liking. So this is definitely on my list. I have a few more from the library. We'll talk about that in a second, but I definitely want to continue exploring fantasy in a wholesome way, just because it's been working for me. If I'm still too afraid to go back to like high fantasy. I don't know why, because it used to be my main thing, but I'm enjoying them, so why not? Also during the summer is when I start reading a lot more mystery thrillers. I really wanted to go back to them. The first thing, I want to do a reading vlog where I try Agatha Christie, because I used to read them as a child, but I've only read and then there were none on this channel, and I wasn't crazy about it, which seems to be controversial, but it is what it is. I have these two. I think this is book 1 and book 3 in the Hercule Poirot series, and I've heard that book 3 is like the best of the two, so let me know. But I think I'm gonna vlog it and try to like solve it. I'm probably gonna fail, let's be real, but I'm hoping that it's gonna just be funny, because I am definitely someone that overthinks the whole thing when I'm reading it. I'm hoping that this is gonna be good and that's gonna, you know, make me want to read more by her. So yeah, definitely this one, but maybe both, because again, they're super short. So that could be like a weekend vlog kind of thing. So let me know if you're interested. I could do that soon, because again, I'm kind of in the mood to read them. Then I wanted to read the newest released by Megan Miranda. For me, she's like a 3.5 author, which doesn't sound good, but I really like small town murder mysteries, and she does them super well and like scream summer vibes for me. And The Only Survivors, again, newest release by her. And this one, I think it's people that were in high school together. There was an accident, not everyone survived, and they promised they wouldn't talk about it. And then it's like years later, you know, a classic trope, but that sounds really good to me. And yeah, even the cover screams summer for me. So we'll be reading that on the beach, or pretend beach in my head. And then I read another book by the author last year, and this one is Malice. These are in Japan, I think. Yes, I think they're set in Japan. Murder mysteries. I've heard nothing but fantastic things. And like I said, I tried one last year. I don't remember the title. I think it was something of Suspect X, and it was really unique plot-wise. So I'm really intrigued to read more by him. Again, I don't see a ton of people talking about him, but I feel like the reviews that I've seen on Goodreads were really positive. So we'll try out Malice. Another author I haven't tried yet, but is really popular, is John Marrs. This is the one, I think this is the one you're supposed to start with, because I also have the ebook of The Passengers, and people told me I think I had to try this one first. So I will. I need to try something by him, because again, I've seen him around and I want to see how I feel about him. So I believe this one is a little bit dystopian kind of thriller mystery. And like in general, mystery thrillers that have sci-fi elements work a lot better for me. This one is a simple DNA test that matches you with your perfect partner. I'm not sure what the mystery is going to be in there, but that sounds interesting. We'll see what happens there. And then another challenge that I've given myself for this year was to read more nonfiction like I did last year. Really enjoyed that. And I started well and then kind of forgot to read some. So this summer, we're going to do that. The first one, I want to traumatize myself. I'll probably cry while I read this, because I feel like everyone has been. This is Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. Yeah, I've heard nothing but fantastic things. And again, even though it's super short, it's like 200 pages, apparently it's heavy. So I'll probably read a couple pages here and there, and we'll see. We'll see. One that has been on my TBR, on so many TBRs, is Are Prisons Obsolete, which is about like prison abolitionist movement. So I'm interested in hearing what the author has to say. And then another one that I absolutely want to read is Word Slut. We're going to say it French. We're trying not to get YouTube on my butt. So in this one, it's essentially what it says, a feminist guide to taking back the English language, and just sounds really cool to me. So yes, I have a few feminist books that I really wanted to read. I have like a pile over there in the cabinet. We're going to do a challenge at the end of the year where I will only be reading books that I've bought this year, because I feel like with this challenge, we've been going on, you know, the backlog, but also don't want to forget the newer ones. Now, from the library, I have a few that I really want to read. Obviously, things can change over the upcoming weeks, but a few more nonfictions. Actually, I have The Rise and Reign of Mammals, which I read the other one about dinosaurs by the same author, so that's definitely on my list. I think this is another post-apocalyptic one, Life as We Knew It. A few of you mentioned that I should try that one, and my library has the audiobook, so I put my name on it. I'm hoping it's going to work for me as an audiobook, and like I said, I've been trying to find more like, not wholesome, but less, like I said, military post-apocalyptic. So we're going to try this one. I also have The Measure, which that one is part of the Goodreads reading challenge, which I'm vaguely kind of doing again. And in this one, people are giving the option to know how long their life is going to be. Is that what it is? Which, again, I think that sounds really cool. I'm intrigued how that's going to go. I've been mentioning how much I want to try to find more murder mysteries where everything happens in one room. And I put this one on my list, The Appeal, and the reviews seem positive. So I'm hoping that it's going to, you know, scratch that itch for me. But it says like 1 murder, 15 suspects. So maybe again I can try to solve it myself. We'll see how that goes. And I also have This Time Tomorrow, which I believe this is the one that is about like kind of time travel, different possible life type of thing, which I really like that trope. So I'm hoping that this one again is going to be good. I believe this is also part of the Goodreads Choice Award. I like to get those from my library because it's been so hit and miss. And I mean, libraries are awesome. There are so many more, but let's mention just one more, A Half-Built Garden, which this one is on my list because it's an adult sci-fi that some people have mentioned it's similar to Becky Chambers. I never believe you when anyone says that, because it never really is, but I'm hoping that maybe similar vibes. I mean, Becky Chambers is one of my favorite authors, so like, if you want me to read it, just tell me that and I'll try it. A lot more, but like I said, I'll do my TBR every month to kind of give you a more specific idea of what I'm going to be reading that specific month, but kind of giving you an overview. And then yes, specifically, I need to do the Read It or Unhaul It challenge. I'm sorry I didn't have time to do it in May, but we're back on schedule and I'm really excited. You kind of can see I'm going back to what I usually read 2 years ago and I'm really excited about it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thumbs up, subscribe, like I said. Let me know in the comment section if you have any recommendations, anything similar to what I've mentioned, and I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, and I will see you in an upcoming video very soon. Bye.